Okay, so I've chatted to you about how to actually establish the connections, but now let's chat about actually corresponding with your Airbnb guests. So with your Airbnb guest, you have the option to schedule emails to be sent to your guest directly from SuperControl and into the Airbnb login. Our integration is integrated with the Airbnb messaging service so that when guests reply, it basically feeds back directly into SuperControl, obviously, and this would allow you to keep better track of the communication with these guests. So not only then can you provide your guests with all the required information that you've got within your account, so there's auto scheduling of letters, templates, but it's keeping all of your correspondence in one place, so hopefully not taking up too much of your time. I just want to let you know that's all of your auto emails that you can set up to send automatically to them. But if a guest requires a specific or one-off reply, we do suggest that you reply to them directly within Airbnb. Now, we are aware that there's been some changes to Airbnb in terms of their email addresses. So what happened is that by the end of September, Airbnb actually stopped sending us email addresses. Before they sent us what was a masked email that they assigned to the guest, so at guest.airbnb.com. And this enabled us to send the client emails to the guest using your scheduled letters without using this Airbnb chat integration. They now have stopped doing this. So now you have got to send all letters via Airbnb option. Airbnb is now enforcing their policy that for everyone's security, you always need to communicate through the Airbnb chat function. I'm going to show you over the next couple of slides how to actually set this up within your account. To enable Airbnb messaging within your account, you need to go into your Airbnb integration page. You have to select this Manage Accounts option. If you select the Manage Accounts, it opens up a new window, and there you have the option to actually authorize that we can read any of the messages sent via the Airbnb chat function, as well as write. So obviously reading this means that it grants us the ability to read messages from guests sent to you through Airbnb, whereas write will grant us the ability to send messages to guests via Airbnb. You basically select that button, you have to connect and agree to it on your side of Airbnb. You come back to our integration page here and you'll see that those buttons were gray before, but they turn green once we've received the approval. Many of you may already be familiar with the SuperControl auto email feature and actually aware of the process of setting up a letter template that you can actually send out to send automatically. So you know that you would have created a letter template in the first place that you could send out. Now, it's important to note that when you are sending any sorts of letters to channels, we always recommend that you do not add pictures. You do not have any HTML coding within it because these messages are only displayed as plain text. So all messages that go to channels need to be very, very simple. We have the option when you add a letter to actually paste as plain text, which is handy. You are able to send links, but we always suggest that you keep this to a minimum because Airbnb obviously monitors your chat to your guests. They do have the option to prevent any messages from going through, and especially if there are links. So you may already have an existing letter group within all of your scheduled emails to be sent, say, for example, to your direct bookings. So you can see here at the bottom, I've already got two. I've got my all direct bookings. But if so, you can just add AB letters into that same group, or you could add a individual letter group just for Airbnb emails. Generally, this is the easiest way to do it. The ways you go about doing it is creating a new letter group, and I've just called it Airbnb emails. I said that it automatically applies to all bookings. Now, when you schedule it to send, there are obviously certain limitations that you need to change. Specifically, so for example, I'm adding a new letter in this case. I've dropped down to add in the letter template that I created earlier. So it's Airbnb arrival dates with key code, for example. Once I select Add Letter, it will open up a new window. And underneath this is where you would set your schedule settings. And the most important thing is obviously it's going to be applied to third-party bookings. Okay, we then also, for example, I've scheduled a date and time that it has to be sent, and I would also tick the send on booking date if placed after this. But most importantly, the thing that I'm going to be changing is my delivery method. I'm going to change and make sure that it's to send via the Airbnb integration. So send letter via Airbnb. Okay, I then have further options in terms of my schedule criteria down below. Also, obviously, when you send this send letter via Airbnb, because Airbnb doesn't allow attachments, you'll see, for example, usually you'd be used to having the option to tick attachments, but you wouldn't in this case because Airbnb and channels don't allow attachments. If you've got an email template that's set up for other third parties, so for example, if you're connecting to booking.com or Vrbo, you need to add some additional criteria to those existing scheduled emails so that Airbnb guests wouldn't get duplicates of this. So the idea behind this and how you do this is within your schedule criteria, you need to add and not affiliate Airbnb, that means that they wouldn't receive that same one that's being sent through to other third parties. So, for example, to bookings. Now, important when adding a and not, you need to have a positive schedule criterion first. You can add one that is specific to this email. So, for example, I had selected to use payment statement if balance paid and not Airbnb. There is the option to select always send. Do not use this criterion. It is a criterion that basically it is like the ruler over all criteria and means it will send regardless of whatever other criteria you put at the bottom. So do not tick the always send email criteria because it overrides all other criteria. So use any option but always send within this first criterion. So how would this actually look within a booking? So you can see here, this is an Airbnb booking. I've gone in and looked at the history and correspondence. So you'll see that within it, as soon as we receive a booking from Airbnb, the booking is placed and SuperControl will alert you to the fact that you've got one and the booking is added via Airbnb. You can see in this case, we have received messages from the guest, okay, and those are the messages that the guest have sent. We have also automatically sent off information to the guest by auto emails that are auto corresponded. So it could be things like maybe their pre-arrival, for example. The Airbnb guest has responded. So you can actually tell what has happened within the account. You can see by the Airbnb user, there's not only a message received via Airbnb, but you'll have a message sent via Airbnb, as well as the letter template name that you sent it off on. So how does the Airbnb messaging actually display for your guests? So the guests basically can log into their Airbnb account and they click on messages. If you select messages, they have the option to view them all. And basically the messages view similar to how your chat correspondence would be. And you can see that I did a test one here. So this is a message that we sent through from SuperControl. This is the reply from the guest.